I'm Marti.
And I'm Mari, and welcome to the MARI&MARTIE channel.
Make sure to like, subscribe, and comment down below if you have any ideas for future videos.
Today we're doing part 2 of our redesigning our least favorite Pokemon video. But before we begin, I just want to say a tiny disclaimer. These redesigns were made according to our personal taste and art styles. You are free to disagree with our choices, but please note that we are not claiming that we did a better job than the original artists who worked on these Pokemon with our drawings. This is simply a fun challenge to test our art skills. In this video, I'll be the one starting, so my first redesign is a quite controversial and one that I feel like is going to make some people very mad. So we're starting off with a strong one! Ladies and gentlemen and people who are watching this, I'm gonna redesign Clamperl. Clamperl looks very similar to the oyster with the pearl inside, you get what I mean, but it actually could be interpreted as a clam with fish eggs inside of it. And even though I personally don't necessarily dislike Clamperl itself as a Pokemon, I just felt like something is very wrong in the way that this clam with fish eggs inside simply evolves into two different types of eels. Those two eel-like Pokemon, I guess, are Gorbis and Huntail. So I completely get the argument that, oh, but it's the egg inside that eventually evolves or grows up to be a fully fleshed out fish, or eel in this case, yeah, but anyway. I get the concept, but I don't like it, because I feel like there's something missing between Clamperl and Huntail and Gorbis. So my redesign is completely transforming Clamperl into a baby eel. So I basically took the resting face expression from Clamperl and transformed it into a tiny fin eel that has some physical aspects and characteristics from Huntail and Gorbis. So I don't really know if I could consider this a Clamperl redesign or like a mid-stage evolution before it goes into Huntail or Gorbis. So I feel like this redesign of mine is more of a concept redesign, or like just my own interpretation of the concept, how I would have made it make more sense at a surface level, and not just a redesign of the actual physical look of the Pokemon. I do like the way you redesigned Clamperl with this new eel concept. I think it looks really cute. I am personally a bigger fan of the original because, it's a really cute Pokemon, but I totally understand where you're coming from. It's kind of nonsensical because it's like, oh look, it's a little adorable clam thingy and it's a little baby, and then it evolves into two eels. Yeah, it immediately evolves into the eels without much explanation. And to those who don't know that, for example, fish eggs can be found inside clams, will be very confused. And most people in the Pokemon community, I feel like, are very weirded out by the way it goes from a clam with a pearl inside, it's supposed to be. They kind of imply it's a pearl to an eel right away. It sets people off, definitely. That's what you see from the Pokemon community, at least. Now we're going to my first redesign of this video, that being the Dunsparce. I have always liked Dunsparce and thought of it as a really cute Pokemon, so when I heard that Scarlet and Violet was going to introduce, an evolution for it, I was really excited. But then when I saw that it was a bigger Dunsparce with an extra segment to its body, I got pretty disappointed, but I do understand the concept behind it. I mean, there is a free segmented Dunsparce, which makes the design honestly a little better, and I think it honestly makes it more cool, I guess. I don't really know how to explain it, but still. I wish they could have done something more creative, but I do understand also the joke behind it, because lol, we're giving it an evolution, but it literally barely changes. So, I think you're gonna probably notice my redesign ended up looking a little too similar to the free segmented Dunsparce, which honestly, if I went back, I would have changed my design to, be less similar to the original. But with my redesign, basically, I wanted to make it more exaggerated, because that's, what I wish the evolution was like. I took inspiration from the yokai that Dunsparce is based off, well, the whole line is based off, which is the Tsuchinoko or Bachi Hebi, and I tried to make it, more exaggerated, in the sense of, for example, its first segment, the belly is really big,
And I also tried to give it like a new set of horns on the top of the heads, but I don't think it looks really that well. I think they kind of look like ears, so it's really off-putting, I guess. And I do like the way I also like change the tail for it to not look so clustered, because I do see that in the original Dunsparce, like, it has 2 drills. Like, it's the yellow one and then there's the blue one, like a little hat on top of it, which looks a little strange in my opinion, so I just made like the whole drill just to be blue and more like a fully covering the yellow drill, I guess. And the patterns, it out of nowhere gains like this swirly pattern on the belly, and I also did this really interesting thing with my redesign in which, like, in the original the mouth is more like facing, you know, below, but instead here like the head kind of twisted itself, so it's now facing upwards with the design. But again, I don't know if I translated that idea well. So yeah, overall I like what I did with my redesign, but I wish I could have done more.
I also don't like the original The Dunsparce at all. I feel like, oh, I get that it was like a joke evolution, funny, goofy Pokemon to troll the Pokemon community, but I feel like it was such a wasted potential. Like, they could have done a goofy serpent, but also dragon-ish like Pokemon in a way that was funny, but not just like basically the same Pokemon with an extra segment. You get what I mean? Marty here exaggerates the proportions, and I like that. I really like that. And the idea of the horns also works very well, but I feel like you should have drawn it in a more dynamic pose to translate your changes better.
Honestly, thanks for the criticism. That's all for my first redesign of this video.
And now my second and last redesign for this video is Octillery. I don't really like the original Octillery just because I feel like it kind of looks bland. But then, while I was doing research for this video, I found the, I guess, original concepts, pixel art concepts for Octillery and Remoraid, and I was like, oh, okay, now I get the concept. Octillery and Remoraid are supposed to be like fish, not fish, but like Pokemon, water type Pokemon that mimic weapons. Remoraid is supposed to be this sort of fish gun kind of thing, and Octillery is like has a helmet and kind of looks like a tank or a cannon. I originally wanted to redesign both of them for this video, but since I don't really want to do like more than the limit me and Marty set for ourselves, which is 2 redesigns per video, I decided to just do Octillery, and then in a future video I can pick up on Remoraid and complete this evolutionary line, I guess. But yeah, I really like the original concept for these 2 Pokemon, so what I did was make Octillery a bit more on the modern side of the Pokemon designs that we have nowadays, so not as limited in the color palette, and just with more tiny details that, I guess, scatter around the shape of the Pokemon, the overall body of the Pokemon, and that's pretty much what I did. My biggest struggle was drawing the tentacles. I feel like I could have done a better perspective in my drawing to show all of the tentacles it has, because it's 8 tentacles, right? And then the perspective I drew Octillery in, you can only see 5 of them, I guess, but then, I don't know, I feel like I could have done a better pose, but this is still good enough to show you the overall concept I have for this redesign. So push forward the whole like tank pose and stance of Octillery, but without doing the helmet thing, because I don't like the helmet idea, and instead what I did was mimic the entrance of a tank that usually goes on top of the tiny segments that goes on top of the tires, and make the suction cups that go on the tentacles go over its head too. So the suction cup that goes right on top of the head is supposed to be like some sort of entrance to the tank. And then I also decided to curve the tentacles more, because then they mimic the tires, and the cannon is longer in my design. And I also decided to add more details in yellow and orange to complement the whole coral red base color of Octillery's original design.
I definitely like your design way more than the original. I never liked Octillery because whenever I looked at it, I always thought like, oh okay, it's a random octopus. Plus, the fact that it evolves from a fish Pokemon, like, always threw me off so much. I had no idea Remoraid was its pre-evolution. Like, when I found out, I was like, what? That makes no sense. But then when you said, like, that the concept was originally for them to mimic, like, weapons, I then started realizing, oh, so that's why. And now that they don't really have that, it makes the two of them, the original designs, very confusing. But now that with your redesign you actually decide to translate the tankish elements it was supposed to have more clearly, it definitely makes it a much cooler design and Pokemon overall. I can definitely imagine this being like a water fire type Loki because of like the red fiery coloration. I don't know why, just a little comment.
Okay, I get it, but I think it would be going too far from the original Pokemon.
And now for my second and last redesign of this video, I have one Pokemon that I'm personally not a huge fan of, which is Arboliva. I do like the whole line overall. Smoliv and Dolliv are both very adorable, but when it evolves into Arboliva, I think it ends up taking away all that I liked about the previous designs. Like, it doesn't have the cutesy kind of style anymore that like Dolliv had, and I get that, you know, it's like the final stage and it's more elegant and I think it looks a little motherly, but still, like, now it has olives that are purple instead of the yellow and they're on its leafy arms. And also the hairdo that they have is very strange. And like, the fact that it's like has legs under the in between, I'm not sure, the like tree root thing that kinda mimics a dress. I think it's supposed to mimic a dress. And also the fact that it just loses its mouth and its eyes are now just closed. I do know that there are images of Arboliva with its open eyes, but still, I don't know. I just think these changes were kind of unnecessary, to be honest. So, for my redesign, I wanted to make it more look like a progression from Dolliv, in a sense. I tried to keep the dual olives on the top of its head are now free to make it like a triple hair bun hairstyle. I decided to make it have its eyes covered by like this big leafy bangs. And I also tried to change its body a little bit. I wanted to still mimic the whole, you know, dress kind of vibe. And now it has like 3 sections. The first being leafy, like the hair, that has now a bunch of olives on it, on its arms, and on also all the parts that start each of the segments of the dress. The second one is white, just like, you know, the whole body underneath the clothes, you could say. And the third one mimics the tree root pattern with the brown, and then you can see the little feet sticking underneath. I think it looks really cute. Again, going with the whole more elegant-ish, motherly vibe. It kinda gives a little bit, like in terms of silhouette, the redesign I did for Aromatisse in the first part. And I think they would be besties, honestly. And the mouth is drawn in this way that I see a lot of like shows draw whenever a character is like a little anxious or nervous, like with little waves and stuff. So yeah, I think it looks pretty cute. I can also imagine it just going to the Met Gala, like being a partner of like a famous model or celebrity at the Met Gala, and people, or like maybe the trainers trying to decorate it. I think it would be like a really popular Pokemon among like the Pokemon fashion world, and also
among the
girlies beauty contests that there are in the games. I don't remember them well.
I really like the original Arboliva, but I prefer your redesign because of the same issues that you just pointed out being corrected, and also some other details that you brought to your redesign, like the usage of yellow for the olives that is present in the previous evolutions, the whole 3 buns, triple bun hairstyle, and the bangs. I don't know, I just feel like overall your design is more loyal to the original concept of the Pokemon. And that's it, everyone! Thank you so much for watching this video. These were the 4 redesigns we did for this video.
If you have any suggestions for which Pokemon we should redesign for part 3, make sure to comment down below, if you want, of course.
And feel free to criticize our drawings, our work in general, not only in this video, but any video of ours, honestly. We'd love to have your feedback and overall opinion about our work in our videos. And don't forget to check out our social media. We're on Instagram, We also have Blue Sky, other YouTube channels of mine. Anyway, bye-bye! Bye!